Checkmate is how you win a game of chess. Checkmate is when a king is in check and it can't get out of check on its next move. You can also win if your opponent gives up. If you want to give up, you place your king on its side and you can say, "I resign." But did you know that there are 5 ways to draw a game of chess? Actually, if you're playing with a chess clock, then it's a draw if you notice that both of you have run out of time. But if you're not playing with clocks, then there are 5 ways to draw. A common way for beginners to draw is stalemate. Stalemate is when your king is not in check, but any move you make would put your king in check. Because you're not allowed to put your king in check, you can't actually make any move at all. So if you're not in check, then the game is a draw. Another way to draw is when neither side has enough pieces left to checkmate the enemy king. A pawn is enough, because it can get to the end of the board and turn into a queen. But a knight is not enough, and nor is a bishop. Even 2 knights are not strong enough to force checkmate. A third way to draw is by the 50 move rule. The 50 move rule stops games going on forever with nothing happening. If 50 moves for each player are counted, and there have been no captures or pawn moves, then either player can claim a draw. Another way to claim a draw is if the same position occurs 3 times with the same player to move. Everything has to be the same, including whether or not you can castle and whether or not a pawn can be captured en passant. How you claim is slightly complicated. If your opponent has just made a move so that the position has appeared 3 times, then you can claim a draw. If you are about to make a move so that the position will appear for a 3rd time, then you can claim the draw before you make the move. But you may need to prove it. And in another of my videos, you can learn how to write chess moves down to record your games. The 5th and final way to draw a game of chess is to agree a draw with your opponent. You offer a draw immediately after you make your move, and if you're writing the moves down, then you should note down that a draw has been offered using an equals sign in brackets like this. Hang on a minute, is that it? What about perpetual check? OK, a lot of you will have heard about perpetual check. If you can keep checking your opponent move after move, then isn't that a draw? Well, yes, it is a draw, but the reason perpetual check is a draw is because if you can keep checking your opponent, then the game will eventually be drawn because of the 50 move rule, repetition, or agreement. There isn't actually a perpetual check rule in chess. Let's look at an example of perpetual check and how the game ends up being a draw. This game was played in 1952. The players reached this position and it is black to move. Black has a knight, but white has 3 extra pawns, and one of them is very close to reaching the end and turning into a queen. Black would be very happy with a draw. First, black gives up a rook for the annoying pawn. Then black gives up a knight, so that the rook on f8 is lined up behind the queen. White must deal with the threat of checkmate. And now black can give perpetual check by moving the queen first to f2. White has to move the king to the h-file. And now black moves the queen to h4. And white has to move the king back to g1. So black can keep checking forever. If black plays queen f2 check, then it will be the same position for a 3rd time, so this game is a draw by repetition.